Hello and thank you so much for joining me today. I am on the way to the plot. We've had really bad weather, as you all know. We've had Storm Darragh, which was actually at the weekend. It's now the next week, but I haven't had a chance to come up here yet. So I'm coming up to make sure that everything's okay and there's been no damage. I'm sure everything's fine because we didn't get as bad weather in London as I know a lot of places in the country. But we still had really strong winds and we had really heavy rain, so I still want to check up on everything. As I've come into the plot, everything looks fine down here on the other plot, so I think I'm going to be okay. One thing I can say is that it is absolutely freezing cold. The wind is bitter. It's so cold. Oh, I just don't know what's happened. I don't remember it being this cold this time last year. I mean, I know it does get cold in winter, but it seems we've had some really harsh weather recently. So coming onto the plot, everything looks absolutely fine. So this is the structure that Vince made last week. That looks fine. And the polytunnel, that is what I really wanted to check up on. But to be honest, it looks absolutely fine, doesn't it? Yeah, there's no holes anywhere, nothing seems to have hit it or anything like that. Let's just check around the back. Oh, there's my compost bin. So my compost bin should be here and it's over there. So that's not bad. That's all that's happened. Let me just turn around. Yeah, so there's my mini polytunnel, that's fine. Yeah, everything else seems to be fine. So it's just the, it's just the compost bin that's ended up all the way over there in the back. That's made me laugh because it had nothing in it and I actually forgot about that. So the only thing that's happened is my compost bin has been blown into the back of the site. So it's just sort of like a wild area. There's just like bushes and trees there. And as you can see, it has just been blown away. But it was empty and I should have thought of that and I didn't. I didn't think of that because they'd been blown away before. The lids have been blown off and stuff. Nothing like this. It hadn't been blown that far. In the future, if they're empty, I'm going to have to think about that. So that's my compost bins now all neatly back in a row. I feel so lucky that that's the only thing that happened on my plot because some parts of the country have really taken a beating. That's my question of the day today. Whereabouts are you in the country and what sort of weather have you been having? How bad has it been for you the last couple of weeks? So I'm just going to check inside the polytunnel now and inside my mini polytunnel and see what's going on in there and how everything's doing. So I've got a few here that are quite a bit smaller, but the rest of the plants look absolutely fine. I've actually got some nasturtiums growing here. I might just leave them in actually. Let's have a look at the garlic. Yes, the garlic is all starting to come through in this area. Is there any more? Yeah, we've got some here as well and here. So I'm really pleased that garlic's coming up because that side there was taking a bit longer. If you look at this side, this corner, just turn you round. I don't know if you can see, I'll do a close-up in a minute, that the garlic is really coming up in this area and it was taking a bit longer in that area and it's all the same garlic. So it's the exact same polytunnel, exact same garlic and it's growing at different rates, but it's growing, so that's the main thing. It is finally starting to come up in this bed as well. So I've got one here, one here. Have I got any other ones that I can see? One here coming up as well. So this area has taken a really long time to come through. But like I said, it's coming through, it's growing, so that's the main thing. I've gone garlic mad in this polytunnel, but I love garlic. Who can have enough garlic? So I'm pleased it's all growing well anyway. Let's have a look in the mini polytunnel. Purple sprouting broccoli is looking absolutely fantastic. This looks amazing. And the garlic is starting to come up here as well. So yeah, I've got one here. And yep, there's one here coming up. and one here coming up, so that's amazing as well. I'm glad that that's all coming up in between the purple sprouting. So now I've checked on the plot and everything's absolutely fine. I'm going to head home and button up some things there, so I'm going to take you with me. I've actually just had a thought. I'd need to take my chillies in from the greenhouse still. Yes, I haven't done it still. I might pop to the garden centre quickly and see if I can find a couple of nice pots to put them in so I can put them on my windowsill. Let's go to the garden centre. So here I am at Court Farm Garden Centre. This is just round the corner from me. It's actually just round the corner from the plot as well. So it's a nice little garden centre, and hopefully I'll be able to find a couple of pots for my chilli plants that really need to be moved in from the greenhouse. As I first walk in, there's quite a few nice little pots actually. I like these ones. It's not quite what I'm looking for though. And they've got a special offer on. I really like these sort of concrete looking ones. They're only $4.99. I could definitely get those ones. They're nice. I'll keep them in mind. Look at these amazing orange trees. So it is obviously Christmas time, so there's a lot of Christmas stuff around. I mean, look at these, so pretty. I love all these sort of icicle ones. Let's not get sidetracked. Got some nice ones with antlers on, nice Christmassy ones actually. $8.99, very sweet. That's definitely too big, but I do like that style. These are absolutely gorgeous. $9.99, that's such a good price. Look at that. They've only got one small size though. These are way too big for what I need. Oh, so nice. But then I would only probably have that at Christmas, so that's probably not a good idea. I've only got one of these. That's quite nice though. I think what I'll do is go outside, because sometimes they've got really nice terracotta pots outside. So let's go and have a look out there and see what they've got. Oh, the house plants, honestly, I could just spend all day in here. So outside they have loads and loads and loads of terracotta, well, they're outdoor pots, but you can have them indoors. I mean, where's the rule book to say you can't? These are all probably a bit big this side, so these are more of like the glazed ones. They all look quite big actually. Let me go and have a look at the small terracotta ones. There's just absolutely rows and rows of them. They all look quite big. Ah, these are smaller. These are only $1.49 actually. I don't mind that at all. Let's have a look. What other colours have we got? Have we got a different colour? Quite like this colour actually. Oh, these are nice. That's quite nice. It's quite big though. I don't need anything that big. Do you know what? I think I'm just going to go for those ones that I saw right at the beginning. This way. Oh, don't you just love a hanging basket? That is absolutely stunning. I love pansies as well. It's a nice tree, isn't it, actually? I really want one of those, like in a pot. I might plant my Christmas tree this year in a pot, actually. I've got one planted in the garden, but I think that looks really nice in a pot. I was in Covent Garden actually at the weekend. I've got some videos on my phone. I'll put some up while I'm talking. But they have got all through Covent Garden trees in pots outside all of the shops. Oh, it looks so stunning. But the Christmas trees were amazing there. Covent Garden always do an amazing job of the lights and being Christmas. I had an amazing time actually. It's so nice. It gets you in that Christmas spirit actually going there. We went around all the markets. I went with one of my friends, and yeah, I had a really good time. Anyway, I digress. Let's get these pots. Saying that, these are quite nice. $6.99. That's quite deep though. I don't really need anything that big. That is quite a big pot. I could probably do with a little one actually, because I'm going to take quite a lot of the roots off, and they are only in small pots anyway. Okay, Okay, so I've come straight back into the greenhouse. I haven't even gone inside the house, and I've got my 2 pots that I chose. So I chose the smaller ones because the plants are relatively small. I mean, look at that. This needs some tender loving care. I'm going to make this look amazing, and it's going to be so happy in my house. I feel so bad that I've left them out here. So anyway, I've got these 2 pots and I'm going to plant them right now. So I'm going to be using this mix. This is cocoa coir, perlite and orchid bark. I just mix that myself. I use it for all my plants inside because it means that the water just flows straight through. The plant gets what it needs, but it doesn't get waterlogged, especially over winter when we can easily overwater our plants. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to take each plant out of its... So look at that, there's not actually much root in there. I'm going to take it out of the pot that it's in, and then I'm just going to take off the soil and give it some nice new mix for the winter. This plant is going to be happy. So I've got some pots, just nursery pots, that I'm going to be planting them in because I don't want to plant them directly into the pot because they'll just get root rot. There won't be any drainage. These didn't fit quite inside the pots, but I didn't want to use anything smaller, so I just cut the rim off. So that's what I do. If it doesn't fit, I make it fit. Okay, so I'm now left with this small root system on the chilli plant. So I'm going to put the chilli. So I'm just going to take away any of the dead leaves. I mean, they all look pretty dead, but that's just because it hasn't been watered. So I'm just taking away the brown ones. This chilli is going to be looking amazing in a very short amount of time, I promise you. I will keep you updated on this poor little chilli plant. So that is sitting really nicely inside of there. I'm now just going to use my mix to fill that. So I'm going to put some at the bottom, and then I'm going to fill it in from the side and make sure it's quite sturdy. Poor little thing. I'm now also going to put some shells around this plant because I'm bringing this soil in from the inside, and at this time of year those fungus gnats absolutely love any soil. So I'm going to try and cover the soil, even though it's not soil. I know it's cocoa coir and things like that, but they love getting in anywhere and multiplying very, very quickly. So that should stop them a little bit. Okay, both chilli plants are now in their new homes, and I'm going to take them inside straight away. I'm going to give them a water and I'm going to find them a new home, and I've got some other bits and pieces to get on with inside, which I'm going to take you along for too. Okay, so I am back inside. I haven't even taken my hat off because I know if I start taking my hat off and putting the kettle on, I won't get these things done. So what I have done is I've watered these chilli plants so they've been absolutely drenched, and then I've just actually put a couple of grow lights on them. I'm not going to keep them here, but I do want to give these a feed a bit later just to give them a bit of a boost. So I'm just keeping them here for the time being just so that I can keep an eye on them. These are just grow lights that I got off Amazon. I use them for my house plants during the winter, but I think this is going to give these chilli plants a bit of a boost, and I'm going to give them a feed later, like I say, give them another good water, and I think they will recover. And I will keep you updated on that, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I think they're going to be okay. So the next job I've got is a bit of a funny job. I'm sorry if the lighting isn't very good in here, but we've got LED lights. So if I have too many lights on, it makes a flicker on the screen. So hopefully you can see me, but it's just so dark out. It's so dark that the natural light from outside just isn't coming in and lighting the kitchen enough. So hopefully you can see me. So I've got a couple of tea towels laid out. I've never actually done this before. This is the first time that I've ever tried this, but I harvested some rose hips about a month ago out of my front garden, and I just literally picked them and I've been drying them ever since. So it has taken about 3 or 4 weeks for them to dry. I think because of the time of year, obviously it is, it's not warm enough for them to dry quickly, but they have now dried. Hopefully you can see that I have just had them in this oven tray. They haven't been in the oven. They have just literally been sat here. I've just got some baking paper and they have literally just been sat there drying. And now when you can see that that is just absolutely rock solid. I've actually been drying these because I want to use them in rosehip tea. So I wanted them to be really, really dry, but you can use them like this, but there's a risk of the little tiny hairs inside getting into your throat and they make you cough. They're quite an irritant. I think they're actually used as itching powder sometimes. So I want to get them out. So what I've heard is that you put them on a tea towel and then you put all of these on top and then you just put another tea towel on top and you roll them with a rolling pin and that breaks them down and it gets the hairs out. I'm going to try it and hopefully it works. Okay, so hopefully you can see me. I think you can. And right, so I've got my rolling pin, I've got my tea towel, I'm going to put the rose hips on. You can actually whiz these up in a blender and make them into more of a powder, but I wanted them more of a whole rose hip, which is why I'm doing this method. So I think I'm just going to try a few at a time because I'm not sure if it'll work. So, okay, let me put a few down. And I've got another tea towel here. So that's now on top. Let's see if it works. Let's see if that's doing anything. It's definitely breaking them up a little bit. Aha. So you want them broken and all this to come out. So I think I need to be a little bit harder. I wonder if I need to bang it with a rolling pin. Do I need to bang it? Am I doing wrong rolling it? Should we try and bang it? Ah, that's more like it. That's starting to work a bit more now. So those tiny white hairs, I don't know if you can see them in there, but that is what the irritant is. So that's what we're trying to get out. So we want them broken into pieces like this. So it is starting to do it. So it's working. I'm so pleased. So I think I just need to carry on. So as you can see now, all the rose hips that I've put under there are quite broken up. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take all these bits like this with the seeds still in there and I'm going to shake them in a jar and then hopefully I should just be left with the rose hip shells like this. So I've done that first little batch and I have got a really nice amount of dried rose hips for my tea. There's so many things you can dry in the garden. So I have got rose petals. So these are just from my rose. This is a different rose actually. This was one in my back garden. It's the 2 different ones actually. You can see the different colours. But I just dry them. I don't know if I've actually got some footage. If I've got some footage of me drying these, then I'll lay it over me talking now. If not, I just dry them. I just pick the rose petals and I just literally let them air dry. And then I've got some borage and some nasturtiums. That's actually now nearly run out. So I'll have to replenish that soon. But I have now got some dried rose hips. I think I'm probably going to do half of them the way I've just done, and then I'm going to leave the other half whole and actually use them whole, just to have a little bit of variety. If you do decide to use them whole, which I'm going to do with half of mine because I like a bit of variety, all you need to make sure you do is strain them well after you've steeped your tea, so those little hairs will get into the water. So use like a coffee filter or something like that, just to make sure that none of those hairs actually get into your drink. I don't mind either way, but I think it looks quite nice in the jars if you've got a variety. And I think I'm gonna have some like this that are broken down, and I'm gonna have some whole. I know some people use a blender and they just blend it up and make it into a powder. I don't really want to do that because the way I make tea is just in one of these teapots. So I put anything I want to make the tea in that there into the teapot, and it just steeps inside. So I prefer chunking things, and I think it looks nicer. I've just come outside because the light's so bad. So I know that some of you may say that that's a very long-winded way of doing things, and there's easier ways of doing things and quicker way of doing things. I actually really like the process. So I like drying things, I like trying new things out, and I quite like the process of trying new things and doing it slowly, and you know, just enjoying actually doing it. My sister and I actually call it romance in the ordinary. So it's just ordinary things you're doing and you just make them really special and enjoy what you're doing. So that is why I like doing things like this. So it's a good place actually to say the next thing I needed to say. So tomorrow I'm spending the day clearing the garden. It's a bit of a mess. There's things strewn everywhere. I've got things to do in the greenhouse. I've got things to do in the little vegetable patch that I've started next to my greenhouse. So join me tomorrow. I will see you then. So it is a new day and I'm out in the garden, and I need to just recover these beds because the wind's been so bad. They've been uncovered and something's been digging in there again. Shock horror. But I'm going to get them covered. It has been exceptionally windy, so I was expecting that to happen. The other thing I need to do, so bad, my dahlias. This is actually embarrassing. This is so bad. I feel so bad for doing this. These are the dahlias that I dug up. They are just in a box underneath my staging in my greenhouse. Poor little things. So I'm going to get them sorted out. I'm going to get them wrapped and boxed up and put under my stairs like I did last year. I just haven't got around to it, so they've been in here. So those are the little jobs I want to get done today. Okay, so I've used what I can, the bricks, and also I had some clips that I've used, and I've done it on the other one as well. That will do for now. It does need really securing properly, and I really need to have a think about what I'm going to do with these beds, but at the moment they're absolutely fine. What I do need to do is just at the back here, I just need to put some bricks along here because the fabric has come up just where it's been so windy. We have ordered stones, gravel for this area. It just hasn't come yet, so as soon as that comes I feel like the area will come together a bit more. At the moment it is still quite unfinished, but I'll just show you what else we're going to do. I'm going to come back with this way. So this is the area here, and we've got a path that stops here. We did actually have a path that went all the way down to the end of the garden, but I felt like it split the garden at the time, so we took it up. But now it would actually come in quite handy because it gets so wet in our garden. I'll just show you. This is what our garden grass looks like. So we're going to have a path all the way along here, and hopefully it'll be raised up a bit so it will hold the gravel in as well. So that's the plan for this area. But it was such a blank canvas when we moved in. It was quite a few years ago, and we've just been doing bit by bit. So we weren't to know that we would need a concrete path. To be honest, the concrete path was literally just concrete, and that's what put me off it. And it was quite cracked where it was quite old, so it would have needed to be replaced anyway. But at least now we know that we do want it there. And actually, I don't know if I want it all the way. Let me just show you towards the end of the garden. I wouldn't mind maybe stepping stones going past this area. So once it gets to the end here, maybe have stepping stones going towards the end, because I do feel like a path sometimes does split the garden, but we will see. It's not a problem for now. So that's that done. I'm just going to use some bricks to try and hold that black fabric down at the back. So that should just hold that down in place until we get the stones for this area delivered. I've actually got another question for you. What colour should I paint this table and chairs? This was actually my nan's, and this used to be on my balcony when I lived in Battersea in London. We lived quite high up actually. We had no outside space. We had a really small balcony. Well, we had outside space, but it was really, really small. Literally fitted this. That was all that fitted on the balcony. What colour should I do? It's come with me from place to place, and I feel like it needs a bit of a spruce up now. It'll be nice for this area, but what colour should I do it? Last but not least, let's get these dahlias sorted out. Okay, so I'm just feeling them to make sure they are still all hard and okay, and actually luckily they are. For some unknown reason, they've managed to survive being literally outside, bare, in the greenhouse. That seems to be fine. I'm not sure about this one. It's got a few bits that aren't very good. Look, that one's completely gone rotten, but half of it's okay. So I will just take off that bit that isn't. I mean, this one's absolutely huge. That one's fine. But you can see some slugs have been on there as well. You can see their trail. So I will make sure that there's no slugs actually in it. Let's get rid of all this extra. So I've just got some black brown paper, and I am just going to wrap them and then this one I'm just going to put the bottom of the box. So they can just go onto my stairs now, and hopefully next spring I'll be planting them up. So that's my little jobs done for today. Thank you so much for joining me the last couple of days, and I'll see you again soon.